In the autumn of 1888, a shadow fell over the dark, gaslit streets of London's East End. A series of brutal murders began, so shocking and grotesque that they would give birth to a legend that still haunts us today. This is the story of Jack the Ripper. The district of Whitechapel was a place of extreme poverty. Its overcrowded, labyrinthine alleys were home to the desperate and the destitute. It was a world of gin palaces, brothels, and lodging houses where life was cheap. And it was in this grim setting that an unknown killer began his reign of terror. The first victim, widely considered to be Mary Ann Nichols, was found on August 31st. Her throat had been severed by 2 deep cuts, and her abdomen was partially ripped open. The press was immediately captivated by the savagery of the crime. But this was only the beginning. Just over a week later, on September 8th, the body of Annie Chapman was discovered. The violence had escalated. Like Nichols, her throat was cut, but this time, the killer had gone further, disemboweling her and removing her uterus. The city was gripped by fear. Who could be capable of such barbarity? The police were baffled, and panic began to spread throughout Whitechapel. Then came the double event. In the early hours of September 30th, 2 more women were murdered within the same hour. The first was Elizabeth Stride. Her throat was cut, but her body was otherwise untouched. Police believed the killer might have been interrupted. But if he was, he didn't stop for long. Less than an hour later, and only a short walk away, the body of Catherine Eddowes was found. The mutilations were horrific. Her face was disfigured, her abdomen torn open, and her left kidney and a major part of her uterus had been removed. The nature of these injuries led to speculation that the killer had anatomical knowledge, perhaps a surgeon or a butcher. The press nicknamed him Jack the Ripper, a name taken from a letter sent to a news agency, supposedly from the killer himself. The letter taunted the police and promised more to come. Whether the letter was genuine or a hoax is still debated. But the name stuck, immortalizing the phantom who terrorized London. Hundreds of letters claiming to be from the Ripper flooded police stations and newsrooms. The most infamous of these was the From Hell letter, sent to George Lusk, the head of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. It was accompanied by a small box containing half of a preserved human kidney. The letter writer claimed to have fried and eaten the other half. It was a chilling message that intensified the public's terror. The police investigation was one of the largest in history at the time. Detectives interviewed over 2,000 people, investigated hundreds of suspects, and detained dozens. But the killer was like a ghost. He struck in the dark and vanished without a trace. Forensic science was in its infancy. There were no fingerprints, no DNA analysis. The police had to rely on eyewitness accounts, which were often contradictory and unreliable in the dimly lit, chaotic streets of Whitechapel. The final and most gruesome murder occurred on November 9, 1888. The victim was Mary Jane Kelly. Unlike the others, she was killed indoors, in her small room on Miller's Court. This gave the killer time. The scene that greeted the police was beyond description. Kelly's body had been systematically butchered, her organs placed around the room, and her face mutilated beyond recognition. It was a shocking climax to the autumn of terror. And then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The murders ceased. Jack the Ripper was never heard from again. So, who was he? The list of suspects is long and varied. There was Montague John Druitt, a barrister and schoolteacher, whose body was found in the River Thames shortly after the last murder. Some believe his own family suspected him. Then there's Aaron Kosminski, a Polish-Jewish immigrant who worked as a hairdresser in Whitechapel. He suffered from severe mental illness and had a documented hatred of women. A senior police official, Sir Melville Macnaghten, named him as a prime suspect in private notes years later. In recent times, DNA evidence from a shawl allegedly found near Catherine Edos's body was claimed to point to Kosminski, but this finding has been heavily disputed by many experts. Another prominent suspect was Suwarin Kalasowski, also known as George Chapman. He was a poisoner convicted of murdering 3 of his wives. He had some medical knowledge and lived in Whitechapel during the murders. Even one of the lead investigators at the time, Inspector Frederick Aberline, supposedly favored him as the Ripper after his conviction. The theories range from the plausible to the outright bizarre, implicating everyone from a famous artist like Walter Sickert to a member of the royal family, Prince Albert Victor. Each suspect has proponents and detractors, clues that seem to fit, and alibis that complicate the picture. But why did the murders stop? Did the killer die? Was he imprisoned for another crime? Did he emigrate? Or did he simply stop? The silence he left behind is almost as unsettling as the crimes he committed. The Jack the Ripper case left a lasting legacy. It highlighted the appalling social conditions of the East End, leading to reforms. It revolutionized police work, showing the need for better investigative techniques. And it created an enduring archetype of the mysterious, anonymous serial killer that has fascinated writers, filmmakers, and amateur detectives for over a century. The 5 women, Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Edos, and Mary Jane Kelly, were more than just victims. They were daughters, sisters, and mothers who lived lives of struggle and hardship, only to have them brutally cut short. In our fascination with the killer, it's crucial we remember them. To this day, the identity of Jack the Ripper remains one of the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. The files are officially closed, but the case is far from cold in the public imagination. He was a monster who emerged from the fog of Victorian London, committed unspeakable acts, and then vanished back into the mist, leaving only a bloody legacy and a name that will forever be synonymous with fear. What do you think? Who was Jack the Ripper? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this dive into history's darkest corners, be sure to like and subscribe for more.